Hi, welcome to lesson 22 regarding square roots. We're going to start with the key ideas on page 289. So if we look, a square root of a number is a number that, when multiplied by itself, equals the given number. For example, 2 times 2 is 4. So when 2 is multiplied by itself, it gives us 4. The square root of 4 is 2. All right? And so when we're looking at, we also know that every positive number has a positive and a negative square root, because negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. So the square root of 4 would be either positive 2 or negative 2. We also look at this idea of a perfect square, and it is a number with integers as its square roots. So here you can see a list of perfect squares: 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, 169, 196, 225, 256, 289, 324, 361, 400, and so on are all perfect squares. Looking at example 1 on page 290, we can see that when we're finding a square root of a perfect square, we're going to find both of them. So we know that 7 times 7 is 49, and negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. Therefore, we know that the square root of 49 is both 7 and negative 7. All right, and so that little square root sign is actually called a radical sign. And it is used to represent a square root. So the number under the radical sign is called the radicand. All right. So if you're looking at that table, that chart, you can see the positive square root. We have the square root. Square root of 16 is equal to 4. And then you have where there's a negative sign out in front of that square root sign, or the radical sign. So you have negative the square root of 16, which would give you the negative 4. And then you can also see it where it is a plus or minus the square root of 16, which then would give you the result of plus or minus 4. So we continue looking at example 2 on page 290, and here we can see that we're asked to do 3 different things. So in A, notice that there's not a sign out in front of the square root sign, so we're just going to assume then that it's positive. So it's the square root of 25. And you know that 5 times 5 is 25, so the square root of 25 is just 5. Looking at B, we see that it's a fraction, so it's 9 over 16. And you can see, too, that 9 and 16 are both perfect squares. So the square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 16 is 4. The negative sign out in front, then, gives us that final answer of negative 3/4. Lastly, we have a plus or minus sign out in front of the radicand. So we have the plus or minus the square root of 2.25. 2.25, if you ignore the decimal point, is 225. The square root of 225 is 15. So then we can put the decimal point at 1.5. And so we have a final answer of plus or minus 1.5.